Breaking tonight, new details on what was our top story before the beheading of American journalist Steven Sotloff. Sources telling Fox News earlier that the president has been getting briefed on the concerns about this terror army, ISIS, for more than a year now, in reports that were both detailed and very clear about the threat. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has the news live in Washington tonight. Catherine?
Megan, a former Pentagon official tells Fox News that President Obama was given detailed and specific intelligence about the rise of the Islamic State as part of his daily briefing, at least for a year before the group seized large chunks of territory over the summer. The official said the data was strong, adding a policymaker such as the president, who often takes his brief electronically, could only conclude the situation was getting bad. And today, neither the White House nor the Pentagon denied the claim, emphasizing that they were on top of the situation.
I'm not in a position to give out details of the president's daily briefing. This is a closely held intelligence document. But I can tell you that for years, the president and other members of his national security team have expressed our concern about extremist elements in Syria and the impact, the destabilizing impact they could have on the broader region.
After suggestions that the administration may have been blindsided and that poor intelligence was to blame, the former Pentagon official said some of the regional intelligence was so good that when the president drew a red line on chemical weapons in 2012, a couple hundred targets had been identified. And the apparent execution of Steven Sotloff is raising more questions about a rescue attempt in July for journalist James Foley, whose execution video was posted last month, and possibly Sotloff, who was believed to be with him, and whether the administration delayed the operation. The former Pentagon official confirmed that a heavily defended compound was identified near the ISIS stronghold of Raqqa, Syria, but the White House was hesitant to act and continued to ask for more intelligence to back up the finding. Megan.
Catherine Herridge, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joining me now with reaction, Mark Thiessen, a former presidential speechwriter, Washington Post columnist, and fellow with the American Enterprise Institute, and Lanny Davis, who's former special counsel to President Clinton, columnist for The Hill, and author of Crisis Tales. We begin with Mark. Mark, thanks for being here. And so what has happened here, so the audience knows, is that the president, when asked whether he had underestimated ISIS earlier in August, said there's no doubt their advance, their movement over the last several months has been more rapid than the intelligence estimates. So he basically said he hadn't been told, and he had said earlier that he was caught by surprise by this group. And what Catherine is telling us tonight is that now a Pentagon official, a former Pentagon official anonymously, is coming to us and saying that's not true.
And that's very important because this is typical for this administration. They're trying to blame it on the intelligence community and throw them under the bus. The fact is the intelligence community warned President Obama about the ISIS threat. They warned there was a growing danger in the Middle East that he had to deal with, and he decided not to. And he attended his briefings. We know that. I looked at his records in January of 2014, the month that he described them as a JV threat. He attended all but 3 of the daily intelligence briefings. So he was actually getting these intelligence briefings, unlike in his first term, and he still didn't do anything about it.
So he was there getting the briefings in January. He tells the world not to worry about ISIS, which has captured Fallujah because it's JV. And now you've got Mark Thiessen and even Dianne Feinstein, you are not politically aligned, agreeing on the following. Here she is yesterday.
I think it's a major varsity team. I've seen nothing that compares with its viciousness.
So why the conflicting message from the president?
Because the intelligence community was telling him something he didn't want to hear. They were preventing him with what they call the phenomenon of the inconvenient fact, which is that a new terrorist danger was rising in the Middle East. Remember, the President Obama had been just telling the American people, the tide of war is receding. We can focus on nation building here at home. We can withdraw. I'm not the president who starts wars. I'm the president who ends wars. And the intelligence community was telling him there's a new terrorist danger rising. If he accepted that judgment, he would have to do something about it. And not only would he have to accept, if he accepted their judgment, do something about it, he would have to acknowledge that his policies were contributing to the problem, that he had withdrawn all American troops from Iraq, that he had done nothing about the crisis in Syria, which, as Hillary Clinton pointed out, created a vacuum that the jihadi filled.
Well,
so he would have to make difficult policy changes and look himself in the mirror and see what he's doing wrong.
It is like Britt was saying at the top of the hour that, you know, he has an ideology that believes if we sort of withdraw from these situations that it will lead to more peace in the world. And he is not alone. Many on the left feel this way. And actually, if you look at the polling, Mark, the American public, the most recent is from January, they don't want to get involved in these crises involving ISIS. There was a poll done by Politico a month or so ago. Now, it only polled the most competitive House and Senate districts, as they were looking at it from a politics standpoint. But those folks, that 65% said, we don't feel the need to go after ISIS. 67%, military action should be limited to direct threats against the homeland. And President Obama at a Democratic fundraiser this weekend said, we don't have that.
Well, you know what? That'll change a lot if they hit us here at home. I mean, this is the problem, is that the president is not dealing with the threat. He has allowed a threat to fester and become created on his watch. He allowed them space. This is the group that we had defeated in the surge in 2007, and he allowed them to regroup and reconstitute themselves, and now they're beheaded 2 American citizens. So if he doesn't do something about this threat, then they're going to come after us. This is not, I mean, everybody from Dianne Feinstein to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to Secretary Hagel says this is an imminent threat. He went to a fundraiser this last weekend and said, we're pretty safe. Yeah. This isn't a big danger.
He said the world's always been messy.
If he's wrong, those words are going to come to haunt him.
9 days before 9/11. Mark, thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Now we go to Lanny Davis, former special counsel to President Clinton. Lanny, good to see you. Your thoughts on that?
Hi, Megan. Well, first of all, I respect Mark. I love his writing, and he worked for a president that I didn't vote for, but is an old friend of mine. I didn't hear Mark criticizing President Bush after 9/11, that he received an intelligence report before 9/11 warning about an airplane terrorist attack. And the reason I didn't buy that criticism and never joined in it is because wisdom by hindsight is always 20/20. So it's not particularly a fair comment, especially since we have an anonymous official not willing to come forward and be on the record and accountable for the facts.
Well, and I mean, in this official's defense, the president took a shot at his community, and apparently this person felt the need to come out and defend that community.
Well, he's no longer in his community. I'm not sure the president took a shot. I think that's a little bit strong, Megan, but I will tell you that I am concerned that the president isn't communicating and informing the American people that ISIS is a threat to our homeland.
He says the contrary is true.
Well, that troubles me because what they say is, we'll see you in the United States. There are Americans being trained who are terrorists there. They have American passports. And the intelligence community and the Secretary of Defense and Senator Feinstein and a lot of people like me would like the president on television telling the American people about the threat that ISIS presents. And I don't mind him taking his time to come up with a plan. Right. He has air power, he has drones, and we expect people on the ground in that area to fight to defend their country and not drop the arms that we've paid so dearly for. So he's got some issues as to what to do, but he needs to inform us about the grave danger that we face.
But what about that, Lanny? Because we are potentially looking at a generational conflict here. You know, the people watching this show have children, possibly grandchildren, that could pay the price depending on what we do or don't do at this moment with respect to this horrific group. He obviously does need time to weigh how to handle this. And yet, can any president come out and assure the American public that they are going to handle this the right way? It is so precarious.
He's got to, first of all, inform the American public through the kind of communication that Franklin Roosevelt all the way through President Obama. He had the courage to send in SEALs, contrary to advice from his own vice president, and kill Osama bin Laden. He's shown the courage to make the tough choices, but he's got to talk to the American people. The reason why the polls are against doing anything is that nobody, including myself, believes American boys should be on the ground when people in Iraq and Afghanistan and even the local countries are not willing to fight themselves. But we still have air power, we still have drones, and we still have a lot of things we can be doing to protect us from another 9/11.
Right. I mean, at some point we have to worry about ourselves.
And he's got to warn the American people that that's the issue, that our homeland is being threatened, and the polls would show a much different result in young people as well as older people if you said, are you willing to take action using air power, not people on the ground, in order to destroy ISIS and supply people on the ground willing to fight ISIS, who are Saudis, who are Iraqis, who are Syrian opposition moderates, and you would get a different result from the polling questions that we're hearing quoted.
That raises a big question, too. Who is willing to be on the ground? So far, everybody's looking at us, and the question is, where are our partners? Well, where are these other people? I got to run. Lanny, great to see you tonight.
I agree with you, Megan. Thank you.
Well, the news about the beheading of Stephen Sutler